So today let's learn something about verbs. What are verbs? I'm sure all of you know something about verb, but let's do a brief recap still. That verbs are words that describe an action or a state. That is the simplest definition of verb. Verbs are words that describe an action or a state. Now, what do I mean by action and state? Let me give you an example. I play the guitar. Okay, I play the guitar. Another example. I kick the ball. Okay, I don't kick anything else. I kick the ball. Or let's say I fly a kite or an aeroplane. Now the verbs here. Let's identify what are the verbs here first. I play the guitar. Anything that describes an action, this word play. Because you can visualize me playing guitar, doing physical action. That is why the word play will be the verb, and it will be an action verb because it describes an action. I kick the ball. Kicking. Okay, an action being described here. That is why the word kick will be the verb and it will be an action verb. I fly a kite. An action is happening. You can visualize me, you can think in your head of me flying a kite. That is why these verbs will be called action verbs. So any verb which describes an action and you can think of that action happening as you read that sentence, that verb will be called an action verb. Now, what are state verbs? State verbs. Let's say I have a car. Okay. Another one. Parth is a teacher. Okay. I made a sentence with my own name. Parth is a teacher. I like mangoes. Although we don't get good mangoes in Karimganj, but I still like mangoes. So the verbs here, what are the verbs here again? I have a car. There's no action happening. Is there any action in me having a car? Can you think of any action happening here? Or is it just describing the state of my ownership of my car or the being? Parth is a teacher. Any action happening here? I'm not teaching, I'm a teacher. If I say Parth is teaching, then teaching is an action because you can visualize me teaching. But Parth is a teacher. Is there any action in that particular sentence? No. I like mangoes. You like mangoes. You're not eating a mango. If you're eating a mango, that is an action verb. But if you like a mango, any action, you just like them. Yes, you can't see any action happening here. They just describe the state of your being. Such verbs are called state verbs. Here, have, is, and like will be called state verbs. Now we come to the thing that matters to us the most, forms of verbs. Without knowing these forms, we cannot do anything in English. Forms of verbs. That is why I have given you a PDF to learn all the forms of verbs. First, let's get to know what are the various forms. There are actually 5 forms of verbs. If you think there are only 3, you're mistaken. But those 3 forms are usually the ones we learn because the other 2 we don't have to learn, right? They are just forms of the base form, so we just know them. We learn only those 3 forms which may be different. Let's get to know all 5 forms today. The first one, the base form. The base form, okay, let me give it to you with an example. Let's take a verb called eat. let's say eat, right? I should put it in another color, then that will look good. Eat. Now eat is the base form, okay? You cannot go any lower than that. It is the base form. This is the basic verb, the base verb, which is on which are formed the other verbs. That is why this will be called the base form, and it will be eat, play, okay, fly, cook. These will be the base forms. Second form is the past form, okay, and here the past form of eat is eaten. I'm sorry, it is ate. Eat, ate, and eaten. That is why the past form is ate. So let's say fly, flew. The past form of fly will be flew. The past form of cook will be cooked, right? Then the third form is the past participle form. Past participle form. What is the past participle form of ate, or the third form as we call it? Eat, ate, eaten. E-A-T-E-N, eaten. Okay. Now what are the fourth and the fifth forms? This all of you know, right? All the fourth and the fifth form also you already know. You just don't know the names of that. The fourth form is the present form. Okay, it's called the present form, and it is just the base form, also an s or es after the base form, which is used for third person singular subjects. Now what is a third person singular subject? I'll tell you that in another video, the next video, what is a third person singular subject, because then we will also be telling you, I'll be telling you about three verbs, be, have, and do, which behave quite differently than the rest of the verbs in English. So we'll study them at once in a different video, in the next video. Right now, just know third person singular is very simply said he, she, or it. Okay. First person, I, me. Yes, you are the first person. Second person is the one you're talking to, you. And the third person is the one you're talking about, he, she, or it. So, just to give you a brief example, let's do it. I eat a cake. I is first person singular. You eat a cake. Second person singular. You is second person singular because it's the second person, and singular because only we are talking only about one person. And third, he, now pay attention here, eats a cake. Eats, oh, I'm so sorry, eats. Eats a cake. This S is the most important part here. This is what we're talking about in the present form, this S. Okay, for third person, he, she, it, singular, he is singular, one person only. We're talking about only one person. Third person, singular, we have this form, which is an S or an ES in the verb. So where do we find ES? In certain verbs like let's say cross. Okay, for third person singular we will have crosses. Okay, es is added in the suffix as the suffix. Suffix is what comes after the word, prefix is what comes before the word. All right, moving forward. The fifth form. What is the fifth form? The fifth form is just the continuous form, also called the past participle. Oh, sorry, present participle. Don't worry about the names. You can just call it the continuous form. It's called the present participle because what happens is in this verb, we just take the base form of the verb eat and just add an ing at the end. Okay, that's simple. Eating, walking, crossing, flying. Okay, I didn't know why I wrote this in a different color, but it looks different, right? So I think all of you understood what the 5 forms of verbs are. Yes, the first is the base form eat, past form ate, participle form eaten. Now these are the only 3 forms that we have to actually learn, because these 2 forms can obviously be made from the base form. Yes, we don't have to learn them. These 3 forms we'll have to learn. Okay, so in these 3 forms also there is a category in which we divide verbs. So just giving you brief out regular and irregular verbs. What are regular verbs? If I say walk, sorry about that, walk, walked, walked. Okay, this is the past base form, past participle form. Okay, we just saw that I just added an ed, okay, at the end of the base form. So such verbs which are formed by adding ed at the end of the base form are called regular verbs, and we don't have to actually learn them as well. Yes, you can just add ed. Okay, walked, cooked, booked. Yes, such forms are called regular forms. Irregular forms, anything that is formed, any other form which is formed by not adding, okay, there is no ed at the end, okay, or there is some other word, those all of them are called irregular verbs. Okay, if a verb is not forming, if the forms of the verb are not formed by adding ed at the end, then that is an irregular verb. Okay, very simple. So in this verb that we saw, eat, ate, eaten, we don't see eat, eated, eated. We don't see that. So that is why this is an example of an irregular verb. Fly, flew, flown. An irregular verb. We don't see fly, flied, flied. That is not the correct forms of verbs of fly. That is why that is also an irregular verb. So I hope you understood. Let's say fly, flew, flown. Okay, eat, ate, eaten. Such verbs are called irregular verbs, and there is no trick to learn them. You will have to just learn all of them. That is why I've shared that PDF with you, and you have to learn them. Before learning them, you cannot do anything. You cannot learn tenses, you cannot learn active passive. If you want to learn all that, first just learn the 3 forms: the past form, the present, the base form, the past form, and the past participle form of verbs. Just 3 forms. We can also, to simplify our language, we can call it V1, some people call it V2, V3, V4 and V5, just by the number. Okay.